Hello, my name is Maurice Lewis Gibbs. I'm the CEO of New Music Exchange. And New Music Exchange is a pretty simple story. Turns out that I was actually running to a lot of my friends who actually were artists. And what was happening was they actually didn't have an online venue where they could all meet up and exchange information. Well, what I decided to come up with was a small little application called New Music Exchange, which set up a demographic system for artists to let them know how good or how bad they were doing. It started out like this. Basically, in a nutshell, it's a site where people can go on and they can add their videos, add their information, check out their stats, listen to music, get information on different things. And honestly, it was actually something very simple. But what happened at one point was I actually went in front of an investor, and the investor said, and keep in mind this was around 2000, so that would make it before Facebook. I tried to explain to him what it was, and he said, "Let's see if I get this straight. People together and they get together online and they socially network together and they try and talk about music. How are you going to pay for that? Well, with advertising revenue." He said, "No, see, that's where you made a big mistake. That's where you made a big mistake. It's never going to happen." All right. He said, "Listen, maybe it's going to work out, maybe it won't, but I'm going to have to say no." So for a while, from let's see, about 2000 on, I just was in panic mode. I was pretty much just making changes here, adding in magazine stuff and adding in forums and adding in a radio system and adding in personal stats and stuff like that. And I was saying that it's still not good enough. It's never going to be good enough. It's just not good enough. One of my friends, however, who did online advertising, said to me, "Listen, you know what? It's good. It's really good. You're going to have to just take a chance on this. You're going to have to put it out there. You're going to have to do something different." And I'm like, "Come on, it's not good enough." He said, "No, no, no, trust me, trust me. It's good enough. You just got to give it some faith. It's good enough." So what I did was I took his advice. I went online. I said, "Okay, fine. I'll put that advertising dollar out there." And what happened was 3 months passed by, and I said, "Okay, it's not that bad and stuff like that." My web designer called in a panic and said, "Hey, dude, did you see the numbers for 2009?" It's like, "No, they're not bad. Like 50,000 hits, right?" He said, "No. Turned out to be, let's see, according to this, 3,096,560 hits. And you see this big blip right here? This is where everybody showed up all at once. And you see this line over here? That's where we crashed." Yeah, we crashed. Of course, this is the part where I cried a lot and got very emotional. And then after that, what happened was this guy showed up, Ryan D. Great guy, good person, salt of the earth. What happens is he says to me, "Listen, you know what? I like what you're doing. I think we can do some collaborative stuff together." So we sat down, we talked about it, we worked a few things out, and eventually we came up with this, NMX Radio. Basically, it's a whole entire site that's actually just geared towards online radio for artists, where people can actually have collaborative things where they can actually just, we'll talk about artists. We get together about artists and things like that. And eventually, it's like it became our little pet project along with New Music Exchange. Thing about it is, it's just that what happened was there was another person that he happened to know who said, "Listen, it's like, you know what? I really, really believe in New Music Exchange and I'd really like to be a part of it." It's like, "Well, what can you contribute?" It's like, "Well, listen, it's like you got some place where artists can get their stats. You got some place where people can listen to music, but you don't really have a place where people can actually give their opinions about music, talk back and forth to each other about music. You should have something like that." So I said, What do you recommend?" NMX Social. That's the next thing we built. So NMX Social, NMX Radio, New Music Exchange, and basically in a nutshell, that's what happened. Things got a little bit out of hand though. The thing about it is you guys crashed us. I mean, you killed us, right? So the thing about it is we had to make a few upgrades, one or two changes. And this is what we came up with. The upgraded version of New Music Exchange. And like I said, basically in a nutshell, what happens is you can search for things like different music, different artists, different videos, check out stories about different people. Let's see, check out stuff about different artists. And on top of that, like I said, whole statistical system. See? This is where you can put stuff in your playlist. This is where you can download stuff, and this is, if you're an artist, is where you can actually look up stats. Keep in mind, these are raw stats. So, in a nutshell, I can tell you that you're doing good with artists, industry, music fans of different age groups, different genders, stuff like that. And we're going to add different locations. But that's where everything end lies. You see, the thing about it is, we need money to move our brand forward. And that's where we're at right now. Basically, we have a site. It's up. It's working. We have 3 sites. It's up. It's working. But then again, we need a little bit more money to move our brand forward, to make things better, to upgrade servers, to upgrade the site. I'd also like to have some more advertising outside because, in fact, we did really good when people knew that we existed. And that's where we're at. So, that's a New Music Exchange. That's what we have to offer. And don't get me wrong, I understand that there's a lot of people out there like, SoundScan, Music Shark, stuff like that. And the thing about it is, you're probably saying, well, what's the difference between you and them? And that's a good question. The thing about it is, there's a lot more sites that are coming out with non-traditional SoundScan. Non-traditional SoundScan basically means that SoundScan checks out sales. But what if you're an artist and you don't have any sales? We take care of that. In other words, we can tell you hits, downloads, locations, things of that nature. Because nowadays, the new deal is a lot of people go with record companies, and what happens is they have a limited release deal where they actually put out a limited amount of CDs, but then again, you have to move the CDs to prove that you're good enough. And then if you don't prove that you're good enough through SoundScan, then a record company's not going to push you. Oh, and by the way, keep in mind, you sign away a good chunk of your online rights to do this deal. With New Music Exchange, you don't have to worry about that anymore. We're here to actually help. But before we can help, we need help. That's what it's all about. So, that's my quick little presentation. Hopefully you guys pick us. Thank you very much.